Ho, 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 my magical children. Santa has a special holiday card for all of you. What's that you say? Where's Santa's beard? How dare you ask me that, you little ingrate? Greetings, owners of fine holiday luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to talk about the newest holiday card. I actually did a video before talking about all the previous holiday cards. So if you want to dig back through the ages and watch a thin, emaciated, kind of sad-looking man talk about those cards, then you can go and find that on your own. Because you know what? Showing you this card is the only gift I'm giving you. Santa's tired and fat and lazy. So with that being said, let's put the card up on the screen. We're looking at Decorated Knight. For those of you who don't know what's going on, if you're new to Magic, Wizards of the Coast does this really cool thing every year where they create a special holiday card. They tend to be like jokey style cards based off different references in different years. But overall, I found them all to be very, very enjoyable. And this year is no different. We have Decorated Knight, which is a fun play on words, because normally when you would think of a decorated knight, you would think of, think about in current world terms, that would be like a decorated soldier. And that would be somebody who has a bunch of the little medals pinned to their chest. It's like, good job, you're good at shooting people in the face, or whatever kind of medals they give. I don't know. Do they give medals for being the best hugger at night in the army? You know what I mean? Like in the cold, dark night, this guy gives the best hugs where he kind of lays on. Anyways, let's not get distracted here. We're here to talk about a decorated knight, not man love in the night, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, Decorated Knight. What do we have here? Well, 1 blue and 3 gets you a human knight, and I like the fact that they tied this one into the whole Eldraine concept. It's a storybook card, and on top of that, it's a knight card. And Throne of Eldraine is got a really heavy knight theme to it. So this fits in that regard. It's the storybook style spell where on one side you can actually cast it as a sorcery first and then cast it as a creature. Now with this specific one, you're gonna most likely want to have used its spell side first, because the ability of the card actually requires that you've used that. Otherwise, you're just going to pay 4 mana for a 3/3 knight. So kind of underwhelming. So the sorcery side of him is present arms or present arms, depending on how you want to look at it. And that's another, again, play on words. And I like that. Present arms as in show off your weaponry, or I've got arms made of presents because it's the holidays. And that's when everybody gets gifts. So present arms is 1 blue and 2. Exchange your library with another deck you own from outside the game. Shuffle your library. How funky is this concept? You would play with the current deck that you're using right up until the point where you cast this spell. So you sit down to play a game of Magic. You've got the Decorated Knight inside that deck, right? Let's say you're living in Bizarre World and you actually manage to snag 4 copies of this card, which would be pretty tricky because these cards are only sent out as a celebration thing by Wizards of the Coast, and they're sent mainly to store owners and distributors, although I've noticed that there are some online influencers, Twitch streamers, and things like that who were also sent a copy of that card. So who knows? Maybe one day Santa Purple. Yeah, let's be real. I'll never get sent anything like this. I'm on the naughty list, as in we're not going to be sending him nothing. So let's say you manage to get 4 of these. So you'd have 4 in your deck. Shuffle the deck up. You get one after a couple of draws, right? You play it. All of a sudden, the deck that you have, whatever's left of your deck, poof, it's gone. The whole thing is exiled out of the game, and you bring in a brand new deck. It could be any other deck, doesn't matter. You go grab your commander deck, grab any deck that makes you happy, and that becomes your new library. You have to shuffle it. You have to shuffle it afterwards. So they thought ahead. They're like, okay, what if somebody just grabs their deck from outside the game, but they have it stacked. You know what I mean? There's no rules for that. So what's to stop you from just setting up the perfect deck off to the side and be like, ha ha ha, I know exactly what I'm going to draw. So you have to shuffle that library up. So I think that's pretty cool, because flavorfully, the concept of present arms, it's like show your weaponry. And in this case, you've got two, right? You've got your original weaponry and you've got your side arm, whatever your second deck comes out to be. Now, the other ability, when he's actually a creature and in play, is whenever a decorated knight attacks, draw a card from your original deck if it's outside the game. That's cool for a number of reasons. Seeing a concept like the term original deck on a card is neat to see, because it's like, all right, that's some different wording. Now the question is, what kind of deck are you going to do as your side deck? Are you going to be an absolute madman and build two identical decks, just the first one with decorated knights in them, so that you actually just get to basically play with 8 copies of everything? Or do you have two wildly different strategies where you have a decorated knight, like, this is my blue control deck, and then over here is my, like, black creature smoking deck? Or you basically, I suppose what you really could do is you could have an array of decks. You know how cards like Vivian or Mastermind's Acquisition will allow you to go and access cards from your sideboard from outside the game? Well, you could have a sideboard of multiple decks in this scenario, right? So depending on what your opponent's playing, you could literally pick a deck that's fine-tuned to just wreck them. But of course, there is the fact that when you swap these decks, depending on the colors, like if you pick a deck that's different colors, you're only going to get to draw one card each time your knight connects. So are you actually going to build a weird deck that's not playable on its own, where you don't actually bother to include any basic lands in it, right? Like if let's say you pulled out some sort of black discard deck, well, you're going to need to draw at least one swamp before you're going to be able to play those spells, unless your original deck was like black, blue, and included the colors. So it does actually present some interesting deck building choices for how you will construct the decks that you will swap out for. And you can totally just fill them with color hoses and stuff. You can basically build decks that are fine-tuned to destroy your particular friends and what they enjoy, which is actually a really funny idea to me. But overall, I really enjoy this as a storybook concept. It ties together pretty well from a fun perspective as well. The idea that you can swap out an entire deck definitely has a high unlevel feel to it. And by that, I mean like the unsets, you know, like unstable, unhinged, and everything. Like you're literally swapping out your whole deck. Boom, exile your deck, grab a completely different deck. That's goofy. But the thing is, it doesn't feel too OP. I mean, theoretically, it can be a huge boost, though, depending on how you do it, especially if you build the second deck without any land, and it's just an extra resource pool you get to draw off of. But at the same time, this is 4 mana for a 3/3. For the whole thing to work, you have to have spent a total of 7 mana, and then you're stuck with what is essentially a vanilla 3/3. Yeah, the Decorated Knight's going to let you draw off your opponent's... No, sorry, not your opponent's deck. I'm thinking regular Magic, which would let you, like, you know, Thief of Sanity. Sure, this thing's going to let you draw extra stuff off of your side deck, but to make that happen, you have to get this Decorated Knight out, have it survive, and then actually be able to connect with it as well. And for a 4 mana 3/3 with no abilities, it's going to require other stuff to make it work. You're going to need some sort of either an enchantment that makes him unblockable, or a way of getting your opponent's creatures out of the way, and also a way to stop him from just getting destroyed by your opponent's creature destroying spells as well. So it doesn't feel like overpowered, it just feels over-sillied, which is a lot of fun. And that's what the holiday card should be. And the artwork is absolutely enjoyable. I love this play on the Decorated Knight, where he's decorated, but not with medals of honor, but things like boughs of holly. He's got his little nature hat, almost like he's pretending to I'm gonna be like one of those army dudes who hides in the bushes. So he's got that. He is festooned with all sorts of Christmas ornaments. It actually looks like his gauntlet is made up of like wrapping paper, or kind of actually has a candy cane feel to it. His little unicorn that he's riding has this crazy ribbon swirled around him with the bell of his head. I have to admit, if you look in the unicorn's eyes, the unicorn makes me think of when somebody's taken their cat or dog and put them into a costume or something they don't want to wear, and the animal just kind of gives up on life. If you look at the unicorn's eyes, the unicorn kind of looks dead inside, like, oh God, I hate when Christmas time comes around and he makes me put a stupid bell on my horn and wraps me up like a present, and then he sits here preening. Look at how proud he looks. Honestly, that knight is sitting. He's sitting in a way you would expect a haughty, well-accomplished knight to be like, yes, I am the great protector of the land. Look up to me. And you've got all the snow falling in the background. I love it. I love the color choices for this. It's just got such a fantastic Christmassy feel to it. And it's just fun overall. I really, really, really like the holiday cards. There's some of them I want to acquire for my cube. Some of them are not cube style. This is not one that would go effectively in the cube. You just wouldn't be able to make it work, which is unfortunate because it's a funky card. But overall, I really like the way the whole thing is tied together. The play on words is fun. The artwork is very festive and enjoyable. Everything makes sense. So it's well put together. And I thought this would be an enjoyable thing to talk about on this fine Christmas day. So I appreciate all of you being here. I hope you are having the merriest of Christmases. If you celebrate other holidays this season, I hope those are fantastic for you, either in addition or instead, because it's all good. What matters is people and having a good time and appreciating the existence that we get to have. Because there was a point where these sort of festivals and stuff like this happened because people weren't going to make it through the winter. And now we live in a sort of a more comfortable world where we don't have to worry, where it's like, we're having a great Christmas feast because old Uncle Gus ain't looking too good and he's probably not going to be around in the new year. You know, it's not that kind of a scenario. So cherish each other, my friends. Remember that together we are the sixth color of magic.